Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks, where we meet with the top thought leaders and strategists in emerging technologies, digital assets, regulatory landscape, and capital markets. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, and joining us this afternoon, we have Jitesh Ghai. He is CEO of Hyland, as well as Shimon Ben-David, Chief Technology Officer of WEKA. We're here to discuss what success looks like when enterprises get their AI implementation right. It is great to have the both of you with us. Certainly a key topic as we head into 2026. Jitesh, there's been massive investments in enterprise AI, but we're hearing mixed results. What's your take on where the industry stands today?
Yeah, first, Jill, thanks for having me. Obviously, a very exciting topic. I would say we're transitioning from prototyping to outcomes, tangible business outcomes, depending on your favorite hype cycle or whatever, where some organizations are in the trough of disillusionment, as they refer to it. They've gone from the peak of inflated expectations to, boy, I'm not really seeing the outcomes. There's so many of these pilots that have failed, or they're interesting, but not value accretive. What's exciting is working closely with our customers in very regulated mission critical industries, healthcare, insurance, government, banking, et cetera. We are seeing some really high ROI use cases and outcomes around intelligence and automation from that intelligence, agentic automation. So I think 26 is the year where we start seeing those tangible business results around productivity and efficiency.
Yeah. And Shimon, from your perspective, what emerging challenges do you expect customers to face as they're scaling AI over the next couple of years?
So actually, I'd like to join Jitesh's point, where we do see, first of all, that the first challenge is customers moving from these experimental environments to a real life environment. And we look at 2026 as the year of return on investment. So it's not only about doing it, but doing it in a cost-efficient manner, which makes sense. The challenge is that a lot of customers are finding that a POC environment use case, my POC AI environment, is not equivalent to my production grade, full scale out, full-blown environment. This is where we see actually challenges around the infrastructure, where infrastructure that used to be very solid and valuable for my enterprise use case suddenly is not optimal for my AI use cases. Things like storage, networking, obviously my compute.
Yeah. And Jitesh, what are some of the biggest barriers that's preventing enterprises from achieving AI success?
Yeah, it's a great question, because we all see it, live it, are benefiting from it from a B2C set of use cases. We're all using our favorite Gen AI tool, whether it's Perplexity or ChatGPT or Gemini, or maybe rotating through them. In the enterprise, the buck stops with your data. To really drive useful insight, it has to be from your data about your enterprise and to support your business processes. And so really the key areas, it's not really about whether you're using Anthropic or Mistral or an open source model. It's about how you're applying that model to your data for your processes, for your intelligent insights, and from it, agentic actions and outcomes. That is the key unlock that we're enabling at Hyland. We're enabling for our customers as a leader in all things unstructured data, and doing so in a governed manner, doing so that the right agents have access to the right data and are taking the right actions in the appropriate business processes and workflows.
Yeah. Well, and Jitesh, another thing I want to address is system fragmentation as well, and the continuation of operating in silos. Is it the point of this emerging technology to remove those silos?
It's exactly right. We've gone through many waves of technology innovation and disruption, all of it accelerating fragmentation. We have a system of record for sales. We have multiples of systems of record in sales, in finance, in marketing, et cetera. They all have valuable data and context about the operations of your business. If you want to agent enable your enterprise, you need to contextually understand your business. You do that through your data, and you do that through your business processes and how you onboard customers, how you support customers, how you bill and invoice customers, how you do so for patients in healthcare by assigning them to beds and so forth. All of that, as I was mentioning earlier, comes down to being able to connect to all of these systems. And if you know the data space, 20% of an organization's data is structured. 80% of it is documents. It's purchase orders, invoices, patient records, referrals, etc., various contracts of various forms. What's exciting is now with large language models, you can give structure to these documents, give structure to these images, and from there you can make decisions and take actions.
Yeah. Well, Shimon, what about the cost and economics of employing AI?
So there's this famous saying that I love quoting that says, "Last week in AI was the longest year in my life." Right? It looks like every day there's new innovations, new frameworks, new accelerators, new development environments that are built in order to accelerate AI workloads. However, one thing that stays constant is the infrastructure that's constantly being innovated on. But we know that what we're seeing more and more is that users or AI users are hitting the infrastructure wall, right? Your GPUs are not fully saturated. Jitesh mentioned being able to ingest and query on multiple different types of data. So it's how do you orchestrate the entire infrastructure so that you utilize that in an efficient way? How do you make sure that your GPUs are constantly fed on constantly generating tokens that are valuable for your customers instead of just pre-calculating things that they already did? How do you make sure that you can burst into different environments and consume them in an efficient way? So there's no one answer there, but there's a lot of challenges, and eventually there's the SLA that you give your users. One thing I was about to say also is that we've seen in 2025 that there's a lot of internal AI projects where your users, you're very forgiving, right? Maybe I have my internal chatbot, my internal HR policy. But in 2026, we see that going outward. We see a lot of these projects going outward, and obviously the SLAs that my external users and the accuracy that I'll need to provide to my external users increases. So suddenly, overcoming my infrastructure limitations and being able to be more accurate with my answers in an ROI make sense way is paramount.
Yeah, well, you also make a great point in your notes here too that it's not just about technical efficiency. You don't want to fall into the trap where you're being identified as a cost center versus a profit driver.
Brilliant. Yes, you want to be able to actually accelerate the workload and make sure that you're generating revenue. Like we have this mandate, and we're seeing it in many places where can I use a person to do it, or is it much more efficient to do it with AI? We actually also see AI being utilized to skip time phrases. So not only people, I know that there's this whole discussion around replacing people with AI, but it's also to accelerate time. For example, cancer research centers that are using AI to predict cell growth and predict cancer activity. So yeah, you want to make sure that you unlock new capabilities and provide profit eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shimon, to Shimon's point, as an enterprise software leader, we are the benefactors of the GPU optimized infrastructure, compute, storage that Shimon and team and others in the infrastructure are building out what's generally referred to as the standard compute and then accelerated compute. It's on that accelerated compute that the outcomes around AI integrated workflows to reduce diagnostic, clinical workloads, to reduce diagnostic turnaround times, AI integrated workflows and processes that accelerate time to loan approvals, mortgage approvals. And so to your point, it's not just about efficiency, it's about productivity that results in greater volumes and greater transaction and greater effect on the top line.
Yeah.
And by the way, there's this thing that sorry for barging in, that nobody really talks about, but it's the DevOps of AI. So whenever we're imagining AI workloads, we imagine a model and it's running somewhere and it's answering and everything is hunky-dory. The truth is that, as I mentioned, there's so many innovations in AI, so many frameworks, versions, GPU kernels, um, operating system versions, drivers. Eventually, there's a massive DevOps and a cost center that needs to operate that. And part of the challenge is how do you simplify it? How do you make an AI environment become almost invisible to the users to consume AI and just work with it?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you brought up the DevOps scenario here because, certainly over the past, let's call it since late 2022, when AI entered everyone's vernacular, there's been this rush to get internal and external product out there, Shimon, right? And I would imagine that impacts the process that developers, engineers, sysops, DevOps, and the way they test and go through their methodical procedures. And I wonder if some of those gaps and vulnerabilities are being exposed because, to your point, there's just projects happening all over the enterprise.
So I'll jump into it. Yes, we're seeing that initially when organizations are just jumping into AI and understanding the land of possibilities, running projects, co-development, or running agents that are performing multiple actions, security is an afterthought. It's a proof of value. Let's get it right. Let's get it working. And then comes the how do we secure this environment? And actually, what we're seeing, maybe as a result or not, is the rise of more sovereign clouds. So obviously, we know about the hyperscalers, the neo clouds, and there's all of these sovereign clouds that we've been fortunate actually to work with. And you see that part of that is a motion to secure the data per country, to allow and accelerate innovation on that country, and make sure that all of these security gaps are covered at a higher level even.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Jitesh, actually, I want to address a question to you and expand on this topic for a moment. And thinking about designing with governance, transparency, security, and regulatory compliance in place, right? In industries such as healthcare, as an example, or financial services, we are one of the most heavily regulated industries out there. You have to think from an ethical perspective. So rather than anti-innovation, why not pro-responsible innovation by designing with governance, transparency, and security first?
Yeah, it's paramount. It's paramount. AI is only as good as the data that you are able to work with. What's unique about how we're serving our 14,000 customers globally is if you know enterprise content management, it is the management of all enterprise unstructured data across your fragmented systems, providing unified views of it and ensuring governed, compliant access to that data. So it's built on a foundation of governance, right? Does Shimon have access to this purchase order? Jill, do you have access to this customer contract? And if so, what elements should be redacted? What files should be accessible, not accessible? Is central to content management, which is what we have been serving for the last 3 decades. What we're doing now is extending these governance policies to extending these governance policies to apply to the AI related insights and actions that come from those insights.
Yeah. So, Jitesh, when we think about 2026 and beyond, what does success look like when enterprises get their AI implementation right?
Yeah, I think it starts with deep understanding of your business processes, deep understanding of the data that you have to build context on how your organization is operating. Through that, enabling multiple agent architectures, multi-agent architectures, agent meshes to be able to make contextual decisions. And from those decisions, automate business processes, take actions to get patients the care they need faster, to enable students to enroll more productively into their universities of choice in higher education, to administer benefits at the state and federal level, and to approve loans. All of those, we are at the precipice. We are actually solving. 26 is really about driving scale enterprise-wide and globally.
Yeah, and to wrap up here, Shimon, I'm going to ask the same question for you as well. When you think about implementation in AI infrastructure, what's the definition of efficiency and success?
So I like to say nobody wakes up in the morning and is looking for AI. Everybody's looking for an outcome. So the success of AI is there is no AI. There's only an outcome that's achieved through AI, right? And it's not a silver bullet. Obviously, success is measured by modernizing your environment so you can get an optimized utilization of your investment, um, modernizing the storage, networking, and obviously the compute, making it in a cost-effective fashion because eventually you need to be now a value profit and not a cost center, as we mentioned. And we're already seeing that, and I expect that in 2026 we'll see more unlocking innovation. There's replacing some activities with AI agents and activities, but then there's more things that you couldn't have done had you not used AI. You can accelerate timelines, predictions, unlock new research, new cancer environment, new cancer solutions. Autonomous environments. We're seeing a lot of autonomous environments that are built on these foundations and actually are changing our life. And my most favorite is when I can talk with my daughter about AI and she tells me how she's just interacting with AI on a day-to-day basis, and it's so natural for her. That's success to me.
All right. I appreciate both of your insights. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thanks for having us, Joe.
Thank you very much.